गया था। अभी हम यूनिट 10 कर रहे हैं MCS 207 का, ठीक है। MCS 207 का यूनिट 10 कर रहे हैं, जिसमें है ट्रांजैक्शंस एंड कॉन्करेंसी मैनेजमेंट। ये रहा दिस, ठीक है। इसमें क्या है, द ट्रांजैक्शंस, प्रॉपर्टी ऑफ ट्रांजैक्शंस, स्टेट ऑफ ट्रांजैक्शन, कॉन्करेंट ट्रांजैक्शन, locking protocol, and deadlock handling and prevention of these weak level consistency SQL command। ये सारा जो है हम लोग को पढ़ना पड़ेगा। देख लेते हैं यहाँ पे। database store all data in one place so that many user database store all data in one place so that many user can share and use all same data. Sometimes many users work at the same time and one user transaction might try to change and read data another is already using. So database store all data in one place so that so many user can share and use the same data. Sometimes many users work at the same time and one user transaction might try to change or read data that another is already using. This unit explains how the DBMS manages such situation when multiple transactions happen together, called concurrent transaction. When transaction together improves performance because while one waits for the slow disk, other can use the CPU, keeping it busy. This unit will explain the problem that occur during concurrency and the method the DBMS uses to control them. Might two people trying to transfer money from the same bank account at the same time, the DBMS must handle both safely without error. These transitions. The transition is a single unit of work of data processing in the database. Database handling many transactions at the same time, called transition processing. A transition can involve reading and writing data. Example: withdraw money from an account, deposit money to an account, transfer money from A's account to B's account. Each of these transactions change the user data values. Property of transaction. Transaction 4 key ACID: automaticity, all and nothing, consistency, isolation, durability. ओके जिसमें प्रॉपर्टीज ऑफ ट्रांजेक्शन 4 की all or nothing, either the whole transaction happens or nothing happens. Example: if transaction money from A to B, both debit from A and credit to B must happen or neither happen. Consistency: database stays correct after a transition. The database moves from one valid state to another. Okay, isolation: transaction don't interface with each other. Durability: once committed, changes are permanent. ठीक है। ACID इंसिडेंट। The concurrent transaction happen when multiple user or program across the database at the same time. DBMS must ensure that one transaction does not interfere with another. Problem occur only if two transactions try to update the same data. If they only read the same data, there is no problem. DBMS must ensure that one transaction does not interface with another. Problem occur only if two transactions try to update the same data. If they only read the same data, there is no problem. The locking protocol. To handle concurrency problem, database use locking. A lock is a variable linked to the data item. Transaction can lock the item it uses. When a transaction finishes with item, it unlocks so it other can use. If the transaction tries to lock an item that's already locked in, waits until it's unlocked. Okay. Serializable schedule. When two transactions conflict, we need a way to check that no concurrency problem occurred. Key terms: sequence of actions, operation of one or more transactions, serial. Transactions are executed one after another without intermingling. Okay, selected schedules action and transaction mixed together serialized schedule. कुछ है conflict serialability. A schedule is conflict serialability if the order reads and writes is the same serial schedule. If not, concurrency or problem may occur. Locks. Serializable schedules test if transactions are safe, but they don't prevent conflict by themselves. Locks are used to control concurrency and ensure safety. Type of locks: binary locks, 2 states locked and unlocked; multiple mode locks, 3 states read, write and unlock; two-phase locking, lock equilibrium, to read and share, lock to write and get an exit. Lock: no conflict locks are allowed. Lock release: existing lock can now be released in any other. No new locks can be acquired for releasing a lock. Locks are held only as long as needed. Transaction wants to update account. Deadlock handling and its prevention. So deadlock, even through two-phase 2PN ensures serialability, it can cause deadlocks. Deadlock and prevention. Acquire all locks at start. Simple but restrict concurrency. Avoid circular wait. Roll back some transactions instead of letting them wait. Two main schemes. Wait die scheme. Each transaction has a timestamp. Optimistic concurrency control. Locking is not the only way to prevent concurrency problem. Another method is optimistic OCC. OCC work on the ideal that conflicts are rare. Transaction freely update data and validation is done later to check the conflict. Phrase of optim, op, optimistic concurrency control. Read phase. Transaction makes a local copy of a required data item. Changes are made only in local copies, not in the database. Transaction makes local copy. ठीक है. Validate phase. Check if any other transaction has modified the data. Read or written by this transaction. If validation fails, transaction abort and local changes are discredited. If validation succeeds, proceed to write phase. Write phase commit the transaction. Timestamp based protocol. Timestamps are used to determine the order of transaction in the database. Each transaction is assigned a unique timestamp. This can start time. Timestamp based concurrency control. Read timestamp. Write timestamps. Weak level of consistency in SQL command for transaction. Normally transaction run in a serial mode to follow ACID. Accuracy, concurrency, consistency, and isolation and durability. Okay. Repeatable read can read data only after the transaction that modify it is committed. Committed can read data only after it is committed. Read uncommitted weakest level, no restrictions. Reading all the account balance to another while another transaction is updating it. Read uncommitted may see may see the in progress value, read committed, see only committed values. Serialization ensure full correctness but slow concurrency. एक बार फिर से रिपीट करते हैं, क्या है transaction is a single unit of work or data processing in database. Okay, properties of transactions: atomicity, all or nothing, database stays correct, isolation, and did not interface with each other, durability: one committed changes are permanent, even if the system crashes, the commit changes cannot be lost. Okay, concurrent transaction can happen when multiple users or program across the database at the same time. Locking protocol handle concurrency program database using locking. Serialization: when two transactions conflict, we need a way to check the concurrency problem occurred. Lock serialization schedules test if transactions are same but they don't prevent conflict. Two-phase unlocking. Deadlock prevention: even though two-phase ensures serializability, it can cause deadlocks. Timestamp based protocol: timestamps are used to determine the order of transaction in a database.